Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts. Welcome to the Dark Side of Scrapbooking Challenge. This challenge is hosted by Nicole and myself because on a video chat one day, we were having the conversation about all of the unfun stuff of scrapbooking. So you ask, what is the dark side? That's the boring stuff, the stuff that you don't want to do, the stuff that doesn't involve playing with pretty paper. I can play with doodlebug paper all day long. Do I want to put away my doodlebug paper? Not so much. Playing with pretty paper and creating layouts that bring back wonderful memories is the fun part of scrapbooking. Of course I want to do that. This hobby is an outlet for so many people to truly bring joy to their lives. So when I think about putting away layouts, I can do that later. Or when I think about searching through my Google Photos to find the date or journaling on my layouts, I think, oh, I'll do that later when I have a stack, especially when I'm using my journaling die because I want to use an entire sheet of paper of journaling. But honestly, what we're doing is avoiding the dark side of scrapbooking. Nicole and I were just talking about our channel and just the different types of scrapbooking that we do on an everyday basis. And we sat down and really thought about the dark side of scrapbooking. And for myself, who is extremely organized and even consider myself as a type A personality, doesn't have it together. And then you have Nicole on the other end of the spectrum who is a self-declared hot mess. She doesn't have it together. So who does? Because we definitely cover the spectrum. And after putting a bunch of layouts away, in a recent video you saw how many layouts I had to put away. It really came down to if we need better habits and we need a system, then there are probably other people out there that need a system as well. And so that's why we decided to create this challenge, and hopefully creating our own habits and our own systems will help you and inspire you to create your own habits and your own system. Because just like Nicole always says, you do you and I'll do me. And while I'm going to share techniques for the dark side of scrapbooking, and so will Nicole, you might think, I can't do Lisa. Like, whew, Lisa's way too organized for me. Or you might think Nicole is a hot mess and I can't do Nicole. But that's okay. Maybe you take parts of what I do and parts of what Nicole does and find what works for you. That's what this challenge is all about. So we broke this challenge down into 4 phases. Phase 1 is going to be hunt and gather. Phase 2 is going to be print, prep, and plan. Phase 3, that's the fun part, creating the layouts. And phase 4 is going to be the finishing touches. So let's dive into phase 1, the hunt and gather. In this particular phase, this is where you're going to go hunt your photos. We're going to encourage you for this particular challenge to choose a specific year. And then within that year, choose a specific month. We're going to start with the month of June because that's the month that this challenge is in. So we thought that there would be some consistency with working in the month that we are currently in, like it's the month of June, and working backwards into a different year, but in the same month. But if that doesn't work for you, that's okay. Choose your own month. The entire goal is to choose a year and a month to work in, and that's what you're going to work for phase 1. So once you pick your year and your month, you're going to go hunt for your photos. Now you could be super organized and have all of your photos in one place. I will tell you that I'm super organized and not all my photos are in one place, and that's okay. So some ideas of where you may hunt for your photos. Maybe you have already printed your photos and you need to look in storage boxes. Maybe, like me, you store your photos on the cloud. So I'm going to be searching Google Photos and Google Drive. Maybe you have them on your computer or on an external drive. Maybe you have to search Facebook because that's the only place that you store your photos. Or maybe it's in Amazon Photos or in Shutterfly or other cloud storages. Take as much time as you need to locate your photos. And the great part about this challenge is that Nicole's Facebook group is going to be set up so that we can discuss it. So we will be bringing up topics of where did you find your photos? Where was the most unusual place that you didn't think that you had photos stored that you had completely forgot about? And other fun topics like that so that it hopefully triggers your memory. The next part of phase 1 is to gather the album that matches the month and year that you are working in. Look through those albums and make sure that the photos that you have stored, wherever they're stored, match up with the photos that are in your layout. So maybe you are completely done and you're like, woohoo, I can check off this month and this year. It is completely documented. I have all of my photos stored and I have all of my layouts created for those photos. If that's the case, then maybe take a closer look at those particular layouts. Do they have journaling? Do they have a date? Is there specific information that maybe you're recalling back now that you didn't recall when you created the layout? Those will be layouts that you can work on in one of the other phases. Now for me, I'm going to reconcile all of this information on the spreadsheet that I use. This spreadsheet I've been using since the beginning of the year because I have a fabulous friend named Abby who let me have her spreadsheet and all of her amazing work that she did on it, as well as she agreed to allow me to share it. So I will link it below. It is on a Google Sheet, so you will need to copy the Google Sheet into your own spreadsheet. So whether that's Google Sheet or Excel. You will not have access to change anything on the Google Sheet. So if you send me a request to access the Google Sheet, I will ignore it because you're only supposed to copy that information and create your own. That spreadsheet is a starting point. It has the year as well as a couple of months and then several columns to document your process. Take what you need, delete what you don't, add what you think is more important. It's your spreadsheet once you have copied it over into your own either Google Sheet or Excel. So once I have my albums and I have looked through my photos, I'm going to compare it to that spreadsheet. I'm going to be looking for a couple of things. The first thing is going to be, are the layouts that have already been completed on the spreadsheet? Because I don't want to recreate layouts. I have enough photos that I need to document. The second thing will be documenting photos that do not have layouts. I'm not going to do it in this particular phase, but I am going to reconcile that information. The third thing is making sure that everything is in its place. Going back to, is there journaling on my layout? Do I have the correct date on my layout? Is anything falling off my layout that I need to maybe add some different type of adhesive? Because we know we've all been there with our layouts. And then the last thing that I'm going to plan on doing in phase 1 is to clean up the photos that I may have. Maybe I have them in multiple locations that they don't need to be. Maybe they are dated wrong on my Google Drive or in my Google Photos. But really just reconciling that information of making sure that the photos are where they are supposed to be. Now we're going to move into phase 2, which is print, prep, and plan. This is where we're going to take all of the information that we just gathered and make a plan for everything. For Nicole and I, we love using sketches. I couldn't do scrapbooking without them. For those photos that don't have layouts, they're going to be matched up with a sketch. They're going to be documented on the spreadsheet, and I'm going to send them out to be printed. Now, Nicole prints from home, so she will be sending hers to her home printer to make sure that they get printed out as well. Now, you may think that sketches aren't for you, and that's okay too. In this phase, you're going to look through your own paper and decide which papers you're going to use with your photos. Maybe you're going to pull out a page kit. Maybe you'll pull out a collection that you want to work with for those particular photos. Maybe you have papers and embellishments and you want to create your own kit to use with these photos. Maybe you want to create a kit that you're going to use for the entire month because, again, if we go back to we're just focusing on that certain month. So for the month of June, we're looking at maybe summer layouts or summer activities. So maybe creating a page kit around those summer activities. Again, you do you and we will do us. And if you don't get anything else out of this challenge, please remember that what we're trying to do is to create better habits for yourself. So your habits may look different than anyone else's. So phase 2 is all about planning. Now phase 3, that's the fun part. We don't have issues with this. Well, most of us. Some of us do struggle to get into our craft rooms from time to time. But this is when we're going to play with all of our fun supplies. This is when we're actually going to put our hands on paper and create layouts. Create as many layouts as you can. Maybe in phase 1, you realized that you only had one layout that you needed to create. And you had 10 layouts that you needed to fix. And I definitely put that in quotation. So adding those journaling or date or whatever the situation may be. Maybe you realize that you have 30 stories that you want to tell. In this particular phase, do not get overwhelmed. As a content creator, my phase 3 may look very different than yours. You may be able to knock out all of your layouts and have no issues whatsoever. For me, I struggle with the thought process of creating the same thing over and over. I'm going to give you an example of that. I have planned out a ton of Harry Potter photos. I have them in a storage box. I have all of the paper with it. All the photos are printed. They're all paired up with sketches. They are ready to go. But I can only truly do 1 or maybe 2 layouts with it because it's not fun stuff. I have to be in the mood for it. And I want to relive those memories slowly so that all of those things can come back to me. There may be layouts that I plan in phase 1 and phase 2 that for my particular phase 3 don't get created because I also like to have a ton of layouts cold and ready to go for my channel. To be able to continue to bring content for you, I have to have multiple layouts in multiple variations because when I sit down to create, maybe I want to play with Doodlebug. Maybe I want to play with Harry Potter. Maybe I want to work on Eli's older photos. I have no idea what I want to do until I sit down. But having the options to play with whatever I want, having things already prepared, makes it so much easier for me to sit down and create content for you. This entire challenge is all about building habits and systems that work for you. So please do not get overwhelmed. Over on Nicole's Facebook group, we will have a community that will support you. We are going to set up all types of different posts and be able to really truly communicate with each other and work through building these better habits. Like I mentioned before, Nicole will describe herself as being a hot mess. I will describe myself as being a type A organized person. And what we found when we decided that we were going to challenge each other to put layouts away, which was the video that we posted just a couple of days ago, both of us have holes in our systems. So it doesn't matter if you're a hot mess or a organized person. The possibility of having holes in your system is probably pretty high. All right, so now we're on to the final phase, phase 4, and that's what we're calling the finishing touches. This is where you're going to put your layouts away. You're going to make sure that your layouts have journaling and dates and all the things needed for the layout to be completely finished. Another thing that you might want to consider is, do you have memorabilia that you want to include? Whether it be a postcard or maybe the map from a theme park or other places that you visited. Do you want to add those to pocket pages in between your layouts? Do you want to use flip-flaps on them? Do you want to stick them behind the layout? How are you going to include those memorabilia? And then you want to put them in their final home. And this may look different for every single person. Maybe your final home, like me, is an album. Maybe your final home is a storage box. Or do you display your layouts for a little bit prior to putting them away? Whatever you decide is the final place for your layouts, make sure that they get there. And that's what phase 4 is all about. And then we hit repeat for another round of fun, because the only way that we're going to build these healthy habits and these systems that are going to work for us is that we continue to repeat this process over and over again. Over on Nicole's group, we're going to set this phases for a month at a time, but you may complete all 4 phases in a week, and that's fine. It may take you a month to complete it. It may take you several months to complete it. All of those things are fine. The only thing that we want to encourage is a better habit and a better system for you. Now you might be thinking, oh, I can't participate in this because, quote, I always put my layouts away right away. Or, quote, my storage system for my photos is spot on. And you might be absolutely right. But Nicole and I encourage you to follow along with these phases, because I can tell you At one point in my life, I said I was caught up with scrapbooking. I was up to date. I was actually doing other people's layouts because I was so up to date on my photos. But now, 5 years later, when I'm in a different spot in my life and I look back on my spreadsheet that I now have available to me, I look back on my layouts that I have completed in my albums, I realize that there are a ton of holes in my system, which I thought was perfect. So follow along with us. Find out, is your system perfect? Because if it is perfect, I want to hear your tips and tricks, and you can encourage us along the way. But I'm probably right when I say that you're going to be surprised at how much you might not be so perfect. And if you are perfect, then be our cheerleaders. Because in the economy that we live in today and the things that are going on in the world around us, why not be a cheerleader for somebody else? Be the motivation for somebody else. Be the supporter for somebody else. Because encouraging others to be a better person is going to be so fulfilling. And I can't wait to encourage all of you over on Nicole's Facebook group to get these habits in place. Nicole's Facebook group is linked below. If you're not already a member, make sure you go ahead and join her group. Both of our videos are going up early today on Friday. Later in the evening on Friday, so later today, we will be doing a Q&A on the group. So watch my video, watch Nicole's video, and then come to our event and ask all of the questions. Because even though Nicole and I had multiple planning sessions for this particular challenge, there's no way that we can think of everything. And we would love to hear from you in regards to how we can make this challenge amazing for everyone who's playing along. So if you've hung on for this entire video, thank you first of all, because I'm definitely long-winded. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, and you want to tackle the dark side of scrapbooking, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.